Listen, every entrepreneur has the same 5 enemies. Whether you're just starting out or running a multi-million-dollar business, these 5 forces actively work to destroy what you're building. Most entrepreneurs don't see them coming. They focus on growth, marketing, and sales while their enemies circle closer. I'm Karam, the battle-tested lawyer, and for 20 years, I've watched these same 5 enemies take down businesses across every industry you can imagine. The good news, I know exactly who they are. I know how they attack, and I know how to defeat them. I actually built a system for it. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to introduce you to the 5 enemies of every entrepreneur and show you the systematic approach to eliminating the threats that they pose to your business. So by the end, you'll see your business like a battlefield, and you'll know how to win the war. Let's jump right in. So here's the problem. Here's what's happening inside your business right now. Your customers are building cases against you with every interaction, looking for reasons to dispute charges, demand refunds, or claim that your service damaged their business, right? Regulators are monitoring your marketing, your social media posts, your claims, your business practices, waiting for you to step over a line you didn't know even existed. Your competitors are studying your moves, copying your strategies, and looking for ways to undermine your market position. People inside your own circle, I'm sorry to say, your partners, employees, contractors, have access to your operations and the power to sabotage you from within. And I've seen it over and over. And your own ego is convincing you that you're invincible, you're already bulletproof, and that these threats don't apply to you, and that you're too smart and too careful for all of them, right? These aren't random events. These are predictable enemy forces that attack every successful business. And here's what this does to you, because it's done it to me and it's done it to many entrepreneurs I've seen. You know something could go wrong, but you don't know what to watch for. You're trying to defend against everything, which means you're not really defending against anything. You lose sleep wondering if today's the day a client decides to sue you, to disparage you. You second guess your marketing because you're not sure what the FTC considers a violation. You don't know if you can trust the people you're working with, that new partnership, that new collaboration. You want to focus on building your business, but you're constantly looking over your shoulder. You understand that business is war and you're waiting for that attack, but you don't see it coming. It's exhausting, and it's keeping you from the confident growth that you deserve. And that's why every business should have a lawyer inside their business, right? You should be able to focus on creating value, serving customers, and building something meaningful without constantly worrying about who's trying to destroy it. Your enemies, your mistakes. When you're following the law and operating ethically, you should have clear guidelines for defending your business against predictable threats. You have the right to build with confidence, knowing that you can identify and defeat the enemies that come for every successful entrepreneur. You build a system to do that. Now, businesses should be about creation, not constant defense against invisible threats. Now, look, I get it. Nobody prepared you for the fact that success makes you a target. Business school doesn't teach you about the enemies that come with growth. Law school doesn't either. You're supposed to be the expert at your industry, not at defending against legal threats, regulatory traps, and internal sabotage. Most entrepreneurs learn about these enemies the hard way, after they've been attacked and after it's too late, and those used to be my clients. So I've spent 2 decades in the trenches with entrepreneurs under attack. I've defended against million-dollar lawsuits from angry customers. I've navigated regulatory investigations and audits. I've seen businesses destroyed by competition and betrayed by their own partners, former employees, you name it. I've also seen the entrepreneurs who have identified these enemies early, and they built the system against them. They had the right contracts, they slept better, they had peace of mind. Here's what I learned. Every entrepreneur faces the same 5 enemies, but the ones who survive know how to fight them. They identify them and they eliminate them with a system. So let me introduce you to your 5 enemies and show you how they attack. Enemy number 1 is your customers. Your customers aren't just buyers, they're potential litigants with legal standing to destroy your business. How do they attack you? Disputing your charges, claiming chargebacks, saying there was fraud, claiming your service or product damaged your business, you didn't meet their expectations, they sue you for breach of contract, negligence, they disparage you online, they leave devastating reviews, you name it. They're asking for refunds, and this can be very, very dangerous because they have the most access to your business operations and the strongest legal standing to challenge you. That's the number 1 enemy of the 5 C's, the 5 enemies, right? So every interaction is potential evidence. Every email, every promise, every delivery becomes ammunition. They want to attack you and sue you, right? Enemy number 2 are the cops. They're the regulators. The FTC, state regulators, SEC, licensing boards, your landlord, anyone with regulatory authority over your business. How do they attack you? They investigate your marketing claims and testimonials. They audit your business practices. They issue you cease and desist letters. They look at contracts that you're legally obligated to and make sure that you're performing, right? They revoke your licenses. Now, they don't have to prove that you intended to break the law. Regulators just have to prove that you didn't. And ignorance is never an excuse. So your own marketing materials, website copy, and business practices become evidence against you. What's enemy number 3? That's your competition. This is what most people think about when I talk about enemies. Your competitors aren't just trying to beat you in the market. They're actively working to eliminate you. They want to copy your IP and claim it as their own. They may rat you out to the FTC if they see you post something illegal. They may try to poach your clients, steal your confidential information, file false complaints against you, spread negative information, undercut your pricing, you name it. Competitors do everything and anything. They're very dangerous. They understand your business model and know exactly where you're vulnerable. So the way to protect yourself is have a lawyer inside your business, have real legal documents to scare them off. So enemy number 4, these are the challengers. These people are sneakier. They're harder to spot. They could be your business partner, your employee, somebody you even love. These are the people inside your business, inside your personal life, have access to very personal information. They can attack you with partnership dispute, lawsuits, employees stealing client information, confidential information, breach of confidentiality, you name it. This can be very ugly, very dangerous. You have to be able to spot them before they show their ugly faces. They know your weaknesses. They have access to your systems and they can damage you before you know that you're even under attack. And that's why you really need to understand how to protect your IP, have the right contracts and business defense system in place, because that's what scares off the challengers. And enemy number 5, probably the most deadly enemy, it's the crown. That's you. That's your ego. It's the biggest enemy. It's the voice in your head telling you that you're untouchable, that you're bulletproof. It convinces you that legal protection is for other people or you'll deal with it later when the problem happens. It makes you believe you're too smart to make costly mistakes. It tells you that shortcuts are fine because you'll never get caught. It prevents you from seeing help because you should know this stuff, right? It prevents you from seeing the cup half empty, which you have to. It pushes you to ignore warning signs because you're different, right? So this is really dangerous because it blinds you to the other 4 enemies and it prevents you from building proper defenses. Now, your own confidence and success become the tools of your destruction if you let your crown get carried away. And the only way to deal with your crown is have a mentor who's a little older, a little wiser, a little more battle tested to keep your crown under control. So here's how you systematically defeat these enemies, and I wish you the best of luck. First, identify which enemies pose the greatest threat to your specific business model. Second, understand the danger zones where you're going to likely get attacked. Third, eliminate the mistakes that give these enemies the power to hurt you, that enable them. Business defense isn't about paranoia, it's about systematic threat elimination, and I have an entire system for it. Here's what happens if you ignore these enemies, right? They don't attack all at once. They'll pick you off one by one. A customer lawsuit here, a regulatory investigation there, a partner dispute that destroys your equity, competition that steals your market share, ego that prevents you from seeing any of this coming, right? Most entrepreneurs lose to enemies that they never saw coming because they were so focused on growth and branding instead of defense, and I don't blame you for that. But when you know your enemies and you build a systematic defense against them, you become unshakable. You become legally bulletproof. You become protected from predictable threats. So the choice is yours. Learn to identify and defeat your enemies, or they'll defeat you eventually. Now, I've created a complete business defense assessment that helps you identify which of these 5 enemies poses the greatest threat to your specific business and shows you exactly how to build the defenses against them. Check out my risk report where you just answer some questions about your business. I'll give you a business defense plan so you can identify your enemies and start legally bulletproofing your business today, all for free. Click on the link below, subscribe. I'm Karam, the battle-tested lawyer. Stay legally bulletproof.